Almost. Zoom's live, YouTube. There we go. YouTube is live.
We can, oh, I see people coming in. Okay. We'll just give it a second for everyone to join the meeting. There's still people coming in. All right, looks like everyone has joined. Oh, we still have a few coming in. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Mariana, would you like to, good evening, Mariana has an announcement for our Spanish speakers this evening.
Yes. Hola, buenas noches a todos los que deseen escuchar esta reunión en traducción simultánea al español. Van a tener la opción de hacerlo en un globito que dice abajo Interpreting o Translation y seleccionan Spanish. Gracias. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. All right, we're calling our meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And as usual, please turn and look either at a flag or to the right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Jeannie. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jolie. And any discussion on the agenda? All right, we will go ahead and vote. Jolie?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
Jeannie?
Aye.
Angie?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Dylan?
Aye.
All right, now we will go into our first item, which is Education Services discussion and possible action on survey for comprehensive high school rebranding process.
Okay, so the agenda item tonight is in regards to the survey at the end of our last meeting a week ago. We talked about and the board approved a student survey. And I wanted to be clear about what was on the survey and the process and survey format that we wanted to do. There was an attachment or proposed student rebranding survey attachment to this item, which listed what I believe the board gave direction on in the last meeting. And that was that there would be one question, and that question would be, what would you like the name of the merged school to be? And there would be three choices to that question. And the three choices were stay with West County, second, return to Annalee, and three, doesn't matter to me. So that was my understanding of the content of the survey. The proposal was to give that survey tomorrow, Thursday, November 18th, in a common class period for all students to take it at one time. The results would be posted with the agenda on Monday, November 29th, and included as an agenda item for the December 1st special board meeting. So those results would be part of the board packet on that day. The proposal is that the results for that question would be presented in both raw numbers and also as a percentage of the total school population. So that is the proposal based on the feedback from the board at our last board meeting. I don't know if the board has questions or discussion, clarifications.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Go ahead, Julie.
Sorry about that. My only comment would be is because West County was a bridge name, I think it should just say West County Annalee, or doesn't matter to me.
And not say stay with or return to.
Correct.
Yeah, I would agree with that because I think that biases the questions.
Yeah.
Or the answers. Go ahead, Jeannie.
When you say on here, you will present the results in both raw numbers and in a percentage of total school population. Can you explain that further?
Yeah, so I'll be able to say that, I'm making these numbers up, 150 students said West County. And then if there were 500 students that answered the survey, it would say 150 out of 500 and whatever that percentage is. It would say that. Does that make sense?
Julie?
When is it going to be given, and how is it going to be given? How is it being administered?
Yeah, it was going to be, the proposal is for it to be administered tomorrow in fourth period classes. The teachers or the students would actually get the link to the survey to their emails, and the teachers would ensure that students took it during their fourth period class tomorrow. The window would start at the beginning of the period and end at the end of the period tomorrow, giving them the period of time. Teachers could do it at the beginning, or they could do it at the end, or they could do it in the middle, but that it would be done during fourth period tomorrow.
Any other questions or comments? Jeannie?
So I'm going to go back to my comments that I made last meeting, and that was that I felt that by doing a survey, this was just asking to be divisiveness, re-encapsulate the school. And I personally just think it's the wrong intention. And it just seems very, I don't know. I just think it's going to we're not going to get the results we want to hear. And regardless of what the results are, we're damned if we do and damned if we don't. It really is. I mean, don't know what more to say than that, but somebody somewhere isn't going to like the choices we make.
Go ahead, Angie.
I mean, I'd agree with you, Jeannie. Like, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't, for sure. I just think that being that this decision is going to affect the kids, I'd like to have their input. I'd like to have the staff input too. I don't know if that's even on the table, but being that these people have worked so hard to come together, it just seems crazy to make a decision that's going to directly affect them without at least taking their input into account.
Well, and speaking to the divisiveness, I know I just want to bring forward a comment that I've gotten from a number of community members around the fact that Annalee is being included as an option and El Molino is not being included as an option. And if this is really about both of the schools, why is that not an option? Go ahead, Angie.
It's a great question.
Julie?
Well, I think that from my understanding, El Molino was named for a historical significance to that particular area, just as Annalee had historical significance to the area in which it's in. I must say that I have had some concerns also expressed by community members that the survey would not be helpful in making this less divisive, and that the kids are actually quite stressed by the whole idea of it, and that concerns me. So perhaps we need to talk about that as well. If even the survey is a good idea for the students. I'm not sure that it is anymore either.
We lost you there at the end, Julie.
Unmuted, sorry. Any other questions, Angie? Go ahead.
I'd just like to hear, Dylan, you're a student. I don't know if you'd like to share your input as a student.
Yeah, I feel like it's important to have student input, especially with the survey, just so the students know who's like actually listening to them for once. And so it's important that they know who supports them and who takes into consideration what they think. I've talked to some students, and the fact that we, as a board, we don't, in general, like the majority of us don't want a survey for the students. They felt, they have expressed like, I don't know, they feel like they're not being taken into consideration as they should be, and they're not happy about it. I've also talked to other students, and if we feel really attached to the name Annalee as a community, maybe perhaps we could have some buildings at the West County High School named after Annalee and Emilino, such as, I don't know, Emilino East Wing or Annalee Main Building. I don't know if that could work.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
I would like to hear more from Julie. We kind of lost you there at the end of what you were trying to say, Julie. And I concur with you. I've heard from so many people, and I've actually heard from some students that they don't even feel comfortable speaking up and saying how they feel because they're afraid that they're afraid for some retribution from either students or teachers, or and I'm just saying it like it is.
Yeah, I was just saying it was I was just concerned about the added stress of this situation on the student body. It's just a concern of mine.
Patrick?
Me too.
I had a couple of students reach out to me today, concerned that they don't want to issue the opinion that they want to give for fear of reprisals, which concerns me as to the greater, are we putting undue pressure on the kids? I kind of liken it to mom and dad are fighting, and we're now asking the kids to decide who's right. And I'm a little concerned that the divisiveness, the pressure, the kind of the leveraging that all sides are kind of engaged in right now is going to not lead to the results that we're hoping for, because I don't think it's just going to be, hey, what do you want? And people are going to answer. I think there's a lot of undue pressure now that's been brought to bear because people are feeling pressure and there's anger and people are really upset. And I'm not sure that this is going to give the results that we're looking for in terms of a true litmus test of what people want.
Go ahead, Angie.
Isn't the survey meant to be anonymous? Like nobody's putting their name on it. So I guess I don't really understand how it's going to create this divisiveness or pressure when we're just getting their input. There's no decision hanging on, we're just getting their input. That's not a harmful, unsafe. We're just asking each of them to anonymously say what they want. I guess if they wanted to omit it because they didn't feel comfortable, I mean, from everything I've heard going on campus and stuff, everybody's come together really well. I'm really confused on where these feelings of retribution and stuff. I know a lot of kids, it almost seems like fabricated. I don't know. It's a little bit strange.
Hi, Julie.
You know what, Angie, I I hear what you're saying, and my concern isn't really retribution. Again, it's a misconsideration. Like, if we say we want your input, and then because of different various reasons we vote differently, then it seems like, we're going to be accused again of not doing what we said we were going to do. It seems like through this whole process, there's been a lot of things that have been misunderstood by the community, and what happens versus what we mean. For instance, the whole idea of West County being a bridge name just seemed to go right over everybody's head. Now it's, oh, we're going to stay West County. Oh, we're going back to Annalee. Oh, we're doing this whole change again. West County was never decided on as a permanent name. In fact, it's kind of mind-blowing to me because that name wasn't even supposed to be the final consideration brought to us by the students. And now here it is. And it's like the whole idea of it got totally lost somewhere along the path. And I'm just worried that if we say, oh, we want your input, I think it's great to use that as a tool. I certainly don't want the whole decision to fall on the student body. And I don't want them to believe that our whole decision is falling on how they vote. I don't want them to feel that way. And I don't want to feel like however they vote is how I have to vote. So that's what I'm concerned about, is the confusion that it causes in the community and with everybody else.
Go ahead, Angie.
I just had a quick question for, I guess it would be for Tony. Was the May 5th where we decided to pause? Didn't we pause because there was impending litigation? It wasn't like we voted unanimously before that. That was the direction we were going. The reason we paused, we had funds allocated, but it was the litigation and whether it could be overturned or dump everything upside down that was really the reason we paused, right?
Yes. I'm looking at the cover sheet for the dates. It was May 5th, where we voted to repause the timeline until such a time when the budget allowed for full implementation.
Yeah, I think the other piece of that discussion was just around not having all the information that we needed to make a decision and or a good community process outlined. I think, Jolie, you were very adamant that you didn't feel like there was a good community process line that would make this not be divisive and actually get us to the end result of rebranding, which I feel like.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I remember Julie saying specifically was that you wanted to make sure that current students were involved in the process.
All right, well, do we want to, I know that there's been a couple comments. Are we okay with the format of the survey? I think the couple of the comments were obviously taking out some of the preamble language and just being really clear, West County Annalee or don't care. And then there was another question brought up still on a staff survey. And then my question around that I've gotten community input around El Molino as a choice. Are we taking the latter two off the table is my question. And then are we okay with that?
Well, the teachers already sent us the survey.
Yeah.
Even though it's not what we asked for, but that's what they did.
So you were asking about whether we take off Were you talking about the latter two being?
Being the staff survey and then the El Molino question. Like, do we want to discuss those, or do we just want to focus on the 3 questions, which it seemed like we were all in agreement that, or the 3 answers, we were all in agreement that we wanted it to be West County, Annalee, and then doesn't matter to me.
I think it's fine there. I don't know what everybody else.
I like it. I would like the survey, if we're going to do the survey, would be that it literally just say West County, Annalee, and I don't care. Not, it doesn't matter to me, but I don't care. That's what we had said before.
And I guess, as we're speaking, what's coming up for me is doesn't matter to me is different than I feel like we've never actually given time to people to actually, like, we have a bridge name that now we're going with as a potential option for a permanent name. And we've actually never had a community process where people could even think about other names we haven't even thought about yet. And I don't know how or if it's appropriate to capture on this survey, but I just have to admit I'm really struggling with that because West County was supposed to be a placeholder name, and this is a really big decision, and we've never done that process. It's like we kind of closed the door on that piece. Jeannie, then Angie.
Angie had her hand up.
Okay, I wasn't much. Thank you. Go ahead, Angie.
I was just going to say the majority of the feedback I've heard, I don't know if it's been the same for you guys, with various members of the staff and community and current students, has been the flip-flopping of the names, or the changing of the names, excuse me. So the amount of work that it's taken staff and everybody to get that off the ground, I think that's kind of why we are in this position of, it's one or the other, because of the amount of work and the amount of confusion and the amount of trouble. It's, all of our seniors that just graduated and the ones that are applying for college now. I've gotten a lot of feedback that it's made this process, really tangly, not to mention the entire school has owned this new name and put, our ag program has invested a lot of money into this coming together and using the name. I just think that it's gone really well. We've gotten really good feedback from Shauna and a lot of the students that they've all embraced it. So I think throwing too many, it just seems like it just overcomplicates it, and we're still not making a decision. And I think that's what everybody's hoping is going to be accomplished, is that we can make a decision and move on, which is what we were appointed to do.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Julie said it, and Angie just said it again, that West County was a placeholder name or a bridge name or a temporary name, whatever you want to call it. It was never intended to be more than that until a process could be worked through as to what we would we change the name from Annalee to something else. So I'm a little befuddled as to why the FFA bought new jackets. I don't know where the approval came from to do that. I know it certainly didn't come from this board. It wouldn't be something that this board would approve, but I'm a little concerned that this name has seemed to have been made more permanent than what the board ever expected it to be. And I'm quite confused about that. And I'm very, very conflicted, as you all well know. And I think that a survey, all great and good. We can get the information if that's what everybody wants. It's a piece of the puzzle. I get that. We've heard from the teachers. We've got their information. That's great information. We've heard from the public. At some point here, folks, we've got to step up, be the leaders that we, like Angie said, were put in place to be, and make a decision and put this to bed. And I'm still just really flabbergasted that so much work has been put into making the name West County, when in fact the name of the high school has always been Anley, and West County was put there just as a placeholder to, in my personal opinion, to allow the kids to be able to come together and to, not have the angst of having to be assimilated, because that word was really thrown at us. And so I'm very conflicted and very confused over this whole matter as why we're even here.
Go ahead, Angie.
I just think that a lot of why people bought into the idea of this unification, and that was why I think people made moves. And I think that the fact that it went way better than anticipated and people invested and bought it in would be a reason to keep it there. I just don't think, we get to make decisions, but we also should be taken into account how it's going and how they're doing. And we have heard loud and clear from staff and from a lot of students. And I think getting that input on, is it going as good as we thought? Or, should we take a step back? It's a big move back. There's a lot of things that have to be changed back. I just think that that's all the much more reason to get the students' input here to take that into account.
Okay, bringing it, Angeli.
Well, if we have to take everything into account, including the fact that we're looking at a SCO study. So it just doesn't feel to me like everything is set in stone. So we're looking at, and I agree with a lot that Jeannie said, and I understand Angie's point, but we're talking about changing a name that has a long history and a total dedication by community. And, when you look 10 years down the road, which is what I've been trying to do, is think 10 years down the road, and we change the name, how is that going to be for the community? Who's going to care about that? Who's going to still be affected by the fact that we changed the name? I think that we have to look at what it looks like down the road, not just right now.
And I want to bring it back to the survey. So I do feel like we need to focus on what our agenda item is tonight. And we are trailing a little bit into our discussion that will happen on December 1st. So I just want to be cognizant of that piece. And back to, the one piece I was putting out is, and maybe I'm the lone voice on this and I can be totally fine with that, just that doesn't matter to me is different than I would actually prefer a different option that hasn't even been thought about. And I personally don't feel like that overcomplicates it. But again, I might be a lone voice on that piece. So.
Well, Kelly, would you feel better if there was an other option?
I mean, I guess that would be that it would be sort of, it doesn't matter or other, it just creates, it's like the most inclusive we can be. Go ahead, Angie. Go ahead, Patrick. Sorry, I didn't see you had your sorry. And people are floating around on my screen too, so it's been hard to see who's putting up their hands first. So go ahead, Patrick. I think you.
If you feel strongly about adding the fourth question, I totally support it. I don't think it waylays anything. I do agree to keep it as simplistic as possible, but if that's something that's important for you to get an answer to, then I'm all for it.
Go ahead, Angie.
I just think the third answer gives people an out. It gives that safety of like, if you don't care or you're, they're wanting to get away from the pressure of it or whatever. I think it gives that. I think it's useful to have there, whether it's, doesn't matter or other, it's just that kind of like, I don't.
So for me, reading the data, it would mean something different to me. So if it doesn't matter to someone or they just want an other, like that for me would change and inform maybe the direction that I might consider for my own personal knowledge of where we're at with this issue. Go ahead, Jeannie.
So if we put other, then you would expect them to maybe fill something in? Or they just say other?
I don't want to complicate it because I know you all want to keep it simple. I mean, it is an opportunity to gather data, and I also know that everyone wants to keep it simple. So, I don't know. Go ahead, Julie.
Well, I think if we just added other, I think that would just indicate that the students want to work more to come up with a different name and mascot. I don't think they have to come up with the different name and mascot on the spot, personally. I think adding other just means they would like to continue working on developing the name and the mascot.
Kelly?
Yeah, go ahead, Jeannie.
Could I ask to make it very fair that whatever we put here, it's listed alphabetically? That way there's no presumed bias?
Or I can do
the choices or just the two names?
I think she was saying all the choices. I mean, the other thing you can do,
yeah.
I mean, the other thing that like the registrar of voters does when they're placing people on the ballot, I mean, they do like a random sample of like numbers. So no one is getting, I don't know. Order does matter, but I don't. Yeah.
Well, that's why I thought if you did it alphabetically, at least that's fair. I mean, it's more fair than us just, saying, oh, well, we want this first, we want that first.
I just think with the two names, and I was just thinking more about this third choice, like the choice of doesn't matter. We're trying to find out what they really care about or what their input is on it. So putting other is kind of this weird ambiguous, because we're asking them, do you want it to be this one or that one, or does it not matter to you? Which I think
or is it something else that we haven't even thought of yet?
Well, I think if we're trying to not overcomplicate it, then this is the direction we're trying to go, right?
Well, if we're going to do that, then let's just throw Emilino into the mix too and just put Emilino on here. Then they can really tell us what they feel. Then
Julie had her hand up. Go ahead, Julie.
I just think I understand Kelly's point of the original process. The original process was to use West County as a placeholder and let the kids finish the process of coming up with the name of the school. And we didn't do that. And I'm just recognizing that what Kelly said is true. That was the original process. And that's why other would come in there.
Go ahead, Angie.
I just think if we're down to the wire and it's going to take 6 months to get this, then we're going to have to spend another year. I just don't know if that's a realistic, as much as I like that idea, if it's realistic given the circumstances and the timeline that we need to be able to make a decision. So
you get the data and then you debate that. I mean, that's where I'm at, is if we're doing the survey, I'd like to get the data and then we can talk about, well, yeah, even though 80% of the kids, and I'm just making this up, not saying that this is how it was, like 80% of the kids said other, but we don't have a year. I mean, then I'd rather get the data and decide that, it's not realistic in a timeline or this, that, or the other thing. We can debate it versus not having it on there. I guess I don't.
I'm
I mean, is
okay if
your
we put
just
it on there.
concern, Angie, that it just makes it too, it'll make it too complicated for the kids? Like it'll be too confusing? Is that
As far as what?
adding another category?
No, I think it's fine. I want to be clear on like what we're asking and what we're trying to get as far as input. Because the big argument seems to be over whether to leave it or change it back to Annalee. That seems to be the two big, like, dividing the community, making everybody upset. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, but it goes back to the purpose was rebranding.
Right. Which now we're getting to a point where there's decisions that needed to be made. I don't know who said that last meeting, that we had 6 months to figure this out. Otherwise, if we were going to change something. So, I mean, we don't have to rush through it. I'm fine taking our time, getting all the input, all the data. If that's the route we're going, we just kind of keep going back and forth.
Sorry, Angie. I thought you were done. Sorry.
Are you finished, Angie? You can finish. Okay. I actually hear what you're saying, Kelly, and I actually think it's not a bad idea. Because there are those that may want to have something other than what we currently have. Patrick has his hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
The intent of the survey is to determine what the students want. Then we shouldn't be presumptive and say that these are the only two options. So I agree with the adding of the other to define what it is that they want, because it's kind of like, if we're going to do it, then we should do it. If we're not going to actually get all the data, then don't do it. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. So I have no problem with the other. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Well, I don't know. Jeannie, go ahead. Do we want?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
do we want to open it up? I mean, we can bring it back to the board. Do we want to open it up for public comment at this point? Does that feel good to people? Okay. We will go ahead and open it up for public comment on this item. And as our usual process, we will go ahead and ask people to raise your hand, please. We use that feature as our comment card process. So I will give it a couple seconds. If you feel that you need to make a comment on this item, please raise your hand now. And we will give it a second. All right, it looks like, oh, we have one more.
Sorry, what timer are we using for the countdown?
We'll wait and see how many people we have, how many speakers. So it looks like we're up to 11, and our last speaker looks like it'll be Jolene. I'm going to probably not say your name correctly. I'm sorry, Jolene Marashk. And we have 10 or, oh, we keep now Bill is added. Bill, you don't have a last name listed, but it looks like we will end with Bill, and we have 11 speakers. What is the preference on timing? 2 minutes? Does 2 minutes feel good to everyone? All right, we'll start bringing them into the room, and we'll give each of them 2 minutes.
Sorry, that's not one of the preset timers we have ready. We've got 1 minute, 1:30, 3 minutes, 4, 5. It'd be a lot more convenient if we could stick with one of the sort of.
Oh, Jenny always has 2 minutes. Okay.
1:30.
Is everyone okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, all right. We'll go with 1:30.
All right. I'm just going to grab the top 3 people from the list. Please stay muted until you are asked to speak. All right, we'll start with Waylon.
This is actually Tara, and I'm sorry, but kicking us all down on such an important subject down to 1:30 instead of 2 or 3 minutes is ridiculous. Jeannie, first off, stop contradicting yourself. This board did put it out to make the kids feel comfortable going to this new school. It was bought into in the unification, as Angie said. Uniforms and jerseys were bought. This money was spent, and these kids and staff deserve that voice. You are not there on a daily basis, so you have no idea when you are not there. I work at a school, and when you are involved in it, you know. The name, once again, Julie, does affect all the communities. Many people have moved to the town that they live in to have their kids go to the same school that their parents did. Why is it okay that you think that it is just Sebastopol in the name Annalie? Wow. Why do you continue to disregard and shut down Dylan, who once again, as the advocate for those students, is telling you at the school what they are saying? And again, Jeannie shut him down and asked Julie what she thought. He had a great thought and a voice. This should be an anonymous process. That's what I thought it would be. No pressure on these kids, period. The wing idea is a great idea that Dylan once again brought up. It serves all the school. It comes down to the fact that almost all bullying of you guys to get what Sebastopol wants with their name being saved due to the fundraising and the fact that alumni money being pulled. That's ridiculous. There is no misunderstanding. How can you not say this wouldn't even be a consideration with the hundreds of thousands of dollars you have already spent on this name with the rebranding? It befuddles me. It doesn't fall on how the student body votes. It is what the superintendent and board has continually and irresponsibly pushed forward with this rebranding for you with your own purposes. Once again, you have bought uniforms. They are using these. These kids are working together. Why would you accept them once again and take that away? Shame on you. Listen to the kids. That is what it's about. As a board, you represent the communities, all the communities, not one town and not one name. Bring it to the students and the staff. That is the most important thing. Thank you.
Sorry, one moment, just refamiliarizing myself with some of the controls. That's odd. A couple of the people who I promoted up to actual panel members appear to have somehow disappeared.
It looks like Rob's there still.
There we go. Great, Rob, you will be asked to unmute in just a moment.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Hi. So I just had a question. I forget how many months ago it was, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this or not, but surveys did go out to parents and I believe students about rebranding. I was just wondering what happened with all that information. And then also, yeah, West County, the name West County High School is temporary bridge, or however you want to say it, until a new name was chosen. I don't think it was ever discussed or explained that it could go back to Annalee. That just doesn't make sense for rebranding. So hopefully you guys take all the information and change the name or keep it as West County. But I think it's a disservice to the kids and puts a lot of stress on the kids if you're going to change it back to Annalee. That's it. Thanks.
All right, gonna grab a couple more people to throw them in as panelists. All right. Andy, you'll be asked to unmute in just a moment.
Yeah, hi. I just want to say that I feel like it's unfortunate that you guys are, like the last person said, that you guys are resurveying the kids for something that was already sent out in a survey, and people have spent money, including the district, on rebranding. I want the school to stay Annalee, but my son, my husband and myself both are Annalee alumni, and my son started his freshman year as an Annalee student. He cares about the name change, and I'm sure if he has the right to vote, he can vote that. He wants it to stay Annalee because he feels like an idiot when he fills out job applications and all kinds of other things to say, what school did you attend? He's one of the students who will care because he's having to attend both names. The freshmen that are starting, who have started this year as West County, probably won't care. But regardless, I'm much more interested in seeing what kind of enrichment the schools are offering, because so far it's been an absolute S show. Teachers are sharing classrooms. The rooms are distracting. Teachers say they can't use one side of the board. They have to use only one little portion. I mean, it's impossible to focus. It's just an absolute mess. And then throwing the whole name thing in is another mess. So you guys need to be leaders, is what you guys need to do. And the school needs to look better than it is. And the classes need to be offered. Okay, that's my time.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for your comments.
All right, Robin Leon, you'll be asked to unmute in just a moment.
Good evening. I'm going to try and limit my comments this evening to the agenda topic, which is the survey. Last May, or whenever it was, the board unanimously voted to rebrand the school. They then voted on a temporary name. Got it. It turned out to be a lot more effort and a lot more money spent using that temporary name than I think anybody realized. The survey should have the option of stay West County or other. Frankly, Annalee shouldn't even be an option. But I'm going to address another issue, which is really the one that got me to get off my butt and phone in. If you're going to alphabetize the answers, let's all be real clear that there is nobody out there who doesn't see that that puts Annalee at the top of the list. So I would happily like to request that if you're going to alphabetize your survey choices, that you do it by reverse alphabetical order. Give those Z kids a little love. As far as the name change goes, we did get a survey. I answered that survey last year. I asked for the name of West County. I did. Those survey answers went to the Unity Committee, which unanimously recommended rebranding the school. A temporary name does not mean go back to Annalee. It means have a new name, a new identity. And for those of you who don't see that, I'm so sorry for you. For those of you who are stuck following the money from the special interest groups, I'm so sorry.
Robin, for your comments.
All right, Tillapi, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. You'll be asked to unmute in just a moment.
Okay, and actually that's a name that I use when I'm online. This is Chris Kahn. Most of you know me. I've worked with all of you over the years. And in regards to this survey, it's really nice. We want to do another survey to have kids put information in. I have a bit of a problem. I'd like to agree with what Robin pointed. We already went down this road. We had the surveys go out. West County was a more unanimous general name to be utilized until we came up with a new name. Now we're seeing that we're talking about possibly going back to Annalee, or the survey says, well, you got West County, or you Annalee, or I don't care. This is very skewed. This is very improper. And I do believe this is a violation of the votes you guys already had placed onto that. I realize Ms. Fernandez is a big Annalee supporter and has been for the last 20 some odd years. We've been down this road with her before. However, if we're going to put a survey out, it should say something like, West County, Annalee, Umlino, or choose our own name. But then again, I point out, the vote was not to use Annalee or Umlino. The vote was to rebrand the school to meet everyone's needs, not just one particular group's needs. And by not doing that, you're being disrespectful and being disingenuous in what your decisions are. So I trust that you'll do the right thing, and we can go forward by giving people a real opportunity to actually do something to bind the community together instead of hurting people and throwing mud in their faces once again. Thank you.
All right, can I grab a couple more people from the attendee list? All right, Matt O'Donnell, you'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? So this is Matt O'Donnell. I have a son who is a junior at the high school right now, and I have some grave concerns about this survey. The way it's written, the fact that you would say back to Annalee on a survey for a school that says is a consolidated new school. That is a new school that did not exist before. You can't go back to a name it never had. If you would do that, you should name it Laguna because it's on the Laguna campus as well. Think about the way you are having so much bias in this survey. My son will have to go to 3 different named high schools in his high school career if you change the name yet again. I have a daughter who's in 8th grade at Willowside who's deciding where she's going to go next year. I will have a hard time allowing her to go to Annalee, if that's the name that they choose, because you've disrespected the parents who came from West County for a consolidated high school by saying back to Annalee. We were never part of Annalee. We were part of this consolidated school. And by doing that, you're saying we are no longer part of the school. And I'm just shocked that you would continue to disrespect parents and disrespect this community. I suggest that you wait until the new board members are elected when you have actual representation from people in this county in this area to represent our students, because right now you do not represent us at all.
All right, Mary Bracken, you'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for letting me have a moment to speak. I'm concerned about kids who are absent in the result. For example, tomorrow, if they don't make it to fourth period, is there a way for absent students to be able to voice their opinion on this matter? And as far as the I don't care item on the survey, perhaps a better word might be to abstain. Again, that's giving a voter a choice, but a choice to say, I can live with whatever this decision is, rather than an apathetic, I don't care. That's seemingly doesn't feel so right to me. And then finally, thank you, Dylan. I think he had some wonderful visions there in terms of naming wings or buildings on the campus after perhaps some of the more historical aspects of our amazingly rich West County. So that was really cool. And then finally, let's look to our leadership students. I think that they could really, really help lead the way in a student conversation and give a sense of engagement that may be lacking up to this point. But I would really like to see kids like Dylan and others who I've seen in the past at El Molino that just did amazing things on building community. Thank you and good night.
All right, Jared Brown, you'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment. Whenever you're ready.
Thanks so much. Sorry in advance if you hear my daughter in the background. We're having dinner together. I wanted to make a quick point of clarification. Within 30 minutes of tonight's meeting, Jeannie made a pretty impressive record of taking underhanded shots at teachers twice. She mentioned that they didn't ask for a survey from teachers, and actually in the previous meeting, Julie Aiello did ask for staff's thoughts, maybe not in a particular survey, but obviously with a lot of staff on campus, the easiest way to get our opinions was to survey us all. I want to be clear to the community listening that regardless of what the name of the high school is, I'm committed to your student. I promise you, I will take care of your student through this transition, regardless of what we call it. Your student will come first to me. The board is not fit to serve this community. That's plain and simple. There are two people on this board in the last 7 days have spent their personal time calling upon the character of teachers. Jeannie made sure to attack Heidi Mickelson in the ag community tonight for Heidi taking care of students to get them the jackets that they deserve as an ag program to enjoy their experience this year. And she made sure to let us all know that they didn't approve it and they don't know why they did that. Heidi did it, just like Mike Rohn has done what he's done to take care of students in our district, because any of us on campus that care about students know that they come first. The fact that we have to have these sort of weekly discussions with you is getting a little ridiculous. You all know exactly what I think of you. I can't wait to work with some of the other candidates in our community to make sure that they get on the board and serve students. I ask that you give the students the survey, make it clear that their input may or may not be listened to, but that you'll give it to them. And then whatever the name choice is moving forward, again, I hope the community knows I'm excited to work with and for your students. They deserve our best. I'll continue to give it to them, but this board is incompetent. Thank you.
All right, can I grab a couple more people? All right, Janelle Ovatini, sorry if I mispronounced that. You'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thanks. Hi, sorry, this has just kind of been all over the place tonight, hasn't it? So I don't even know where my comments are going to go because I'm probably not going to say anything I was going to. Anyway, I just feel like you've all heard overwhelming support from our community. Personally, my opinion you probably have heard before. I believe Annalee needs to stay Annalee. A placeholder name doesn't erase the name of Annalee. It's simply that, a placeholder name. I think it's been extremely reckless that over $170,000 has been wasted on a bunch of useless West County garbage that's only cheap in the campus. I have to believe that could have been spent better. It could have been spent toward our students. And now you're going to serve our students that are going to be gone in 3.5 years. And then after they're gone, you're going to care as much or as little about their opinion as you do about ours right now. So I don't think a survey is necessary, but if you do decide to go on with the survey, I think it should be the name stays Annalee because it really didn't change with a placeholder, or the name should change, or I don't care. We're parents, we're taxpayers, we're constituents, we're your community. You need us to survive, and I think you all know that. I think you just need to get the show on the road. This has gone on for way too long. And I'm saying way too many times, which I really hate. Anyway, thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. And yeah, go Tigers, go Annalee.
Sorry, Julie. Let's click on my part. I'll correct that really quick. Please stand by. Starting out a small technical difficulty. Oh, never mind. We're good now. Sorry about that. All right, Jolene Morash, you will be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment.
Hello, my name is Karis Morash, and I am a sophomore at West County High. I originally came from El Molino, but I want to make it very clear that I am happy at West County. Frankly, the idea to disrupt our school even more is disrespectful to the students. After all we've been through over the past 2 years, disrupting the community we've worked hard over the past months can't in any way be seen as a good thing for our student body. You called us West County, and we've all adapted to the continual disruptions you've thrown at us. Our sports teams have worn West County jerseys, and we've bought West County shirts. This may have been a temporary name, but it's become our school's identity. Renaming our high school to Annalee will alienate nearly half of the student body who came from El Molino. If you care at all about our social, emotional health, you will honor our resiliency by letting us remain West County. Thank you.
And I believe she was our last speaker, and I also see 2 new people that have their hands raised. Do we want to?
Bill was our last.
Oh, Bill was our last speaker. Okay.
Bill, you'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. So I've been to all the board meetings, watching this whole process going on. I went to Annalee High School. My girls went to Annalee High School. I have no skin in the game except for I just love this community. And I think it made pretty clear to you guys that not to rebrand this from the start. So a bunch of money was wasted right up front, and it should have never been renamed to begin with. And Annalee High School has been around for 114 years. I mean, to rename it, just slap in the face to the community. And I think that you hear it over and over again. We're just like, we can't believe that it even is been an option. And I do believe we have the votes right now to keep it Annalee. And just quit kicking this thing down the road, vote on it right now. The people who want to keep it Annalee, I think there's 3 of you guys right now that want to keep it Annalee. We got the votes to do it right now. Raise your hand and let's keep it Annalee. This is crazy. You keep kicking it down the road, over and over again. It's going to go another month now, and it doesn't make any sense. It should be Annalee. It's Annalee for 114 years. It's always been an inclusive school, and there's no reason to change the name.
All right, and we do have one more person that has raised their hand. Would we like to take them in? Okay, let's go ahead and that will be our last speaker.
Justin, you'll be asked to unmute yourself in just a moment. Whenever you're ready.
Thanks. Good evening, Board of Trustees. Good evening, community members. My name is Justin Brownwoods. I'm a former football coach within the district, long-term sub at El Molino, and generally just a good supporter of the community. I want to commend the gentleman who spoke earlier. I think his name was Jared Brown. Tremendous speaker, really put forward some strong ideas there. I also want to point out that the last speaker said they have no skin in the game and then spent a minute and a half talking about their skin in the game for Annalee. So just a remarkable twist there. What I really wanted to get on and talk about is the fact that this board has been remarkably flip-flopping over the past year. And the name truly doesn't matter. If you go to, any athletic events, these kids are going to support each other either way because they're good kids and they have moral courage, which is a tremendous feat if you look at the example that our board is setting for them. But what's really important is that this board consistently goes back on the things they say they're going to do and the ways that they're going to behave. And it is absolutely astounding that they act as though they're in the best interests of students and then model such poor behavior. The young man that is a student representative on this board has conducted himself with so much more grace and manner than this board has that it is astounding, absolutely astounding. So please, board, whichever way you choose, Annalee, West County, whatever you want to call it, River High School, I don't care. But please, please, please develop a moral backbone. Maybe you can invest in an enrichment class that focuses on equity and leadership because very clearly it is lacking in the district. I hope that everybody has a good night. I hope that everybody has a happy holiday season. I'm rooting for West County because I think it's tremendous. And I think that maybe Annalee or Amelino shouldn't be around anymore if that's going to be the case. Thanks for my time. I appreciate you all briefly.
All right, I'm going to bring it back to the full group, to our board. So we had board discussion. We've now heard public input. I know this is a potential action. The easiest maybe direction forward might be to take an action on, or if someone wanted to entertain making a motion on the potential survey language so we can all be on the same page about what it is that we're moving forward tomorrow. Go ahead, Jeannie.
Before I do that, I have one question to ask Tony, if I may. How many kids are in their fourth period class? I mean, is that the best opportunity for us to get the most kids? Is that it?
Yeah. Tomorrow it's a block schedule. So fourth period's in the middle of the day. Goes from, I believe, 11 to 12:30. So it's right before lunch. So yeah, I think that's a time. Dylan could probably answer that better than me. It's probably a time when most of the kids are there.
Yeah, everyone has a fourth period.
And then I guess to follow up too, because that was one of the questions. I was going to take questions after we had a motion, but one of the speakers did mention about absent students. Is there a way to capture absent students on Friday?
I believe so. I'll have to work with Jenny to identify who those kids are and see if we can give them a chance to take the survey on Friday.
Go ahead, Angie, and then Julie.
I think the same person that asked about it was Mary Bracken who asked about the absent students. And she also brought up just having that third choice is abstaining. I thought that was great input.
I was going to say the same thing. I like the use of abstain also.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
My only comment to that is, do they really know what that means? It's not a word we use a whole lot. Just saying.
If
they don't, it's a good
all the time. That's like
yeah, and it's a good learning experience then. Language development.
Okay, is anyone wanting to make a motion on the survey language?
Oh, so I'll make a motion that we have, do I just say we have 3 questions and it's
What's 3 answers? 3 answers.
Sorry. 3 answers, West County, Annalee, or abstain.
And a second? Okay, there is no second. Would someone else like to make a motion? Go ahead, Jeannie.
I think it should be Anley, West County, and other. And I don't care.
And is there a second? Okay, would anyone else like to make a motion? Go ahead, Julie.
Let's try this again. I'd like to make a motion that the survey say, give the choices of West County, Annalee, abstain, or other.
I'll second.
All right.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah, I was probably going to ask the same clarifying question. Yeah, is it for? Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I was just going to ask, is it so West County, Annalee, abstain, other as for options? Or are you saying like abstain / other? Because to me, abstain and other are two different. They're two different things.
4 options. Other is the 4th option.
Okay. Angie, are you still wanting to second that? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the table. Are there any questions or comments about the motion and the second? All right, we will go ahead and do our vote. Julie.
Aye.
Angie.
Aye.
Jeannie.
No.
Patrick.
Aye.
Kelly. Aye. Dylan.
Aye.
Okay.
So I think we're done. So we're going to adjourn. All right. And we will meet again on December 1st. Thank you.